Good evening, everybody. My name is David Donofrio, and I would like to welcome you to the next in our series of Roadmap for Progress town hall meetings for our endorsed candidates. And today I would like to introduce you to Sara Bitter. She is a candidate for Ohio House of Representatives District 27. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. So just wanted to quickly go over a quick little formatting. Tonight's town hall is going to last approximately 30 minutes. We want to give Sara an opportunity to introduce herself to you and let everyone know about her campaign platform. While she's having this conversation with us, I did want to let you know that there is an opportunity for you to pitch into Sara's campaign. Attached to this video is a link where you can contribute to her campaign. There is also going to be a day of action this week where you will have the opportunity to assist Sara directly from anywhere you are in the country. And so make sure to RSVP to that Facebook event as well. And so let's go ahead and get started. So, Sara, if you could please just introduce yourself to us, let us know a little bit about your background and why you decided to run for office in 2020.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Bitter, and I'm a candidate for state representative in District 27. I'm running for the Ohio legislature. The district that I'm running in it's in the eastern suburbs of Cincinnati, Ohio. And this is a district that has been held by a Republican for the last 14 years. And I'm hoping to change and flip this seat and to win this seat so that I can be there for many reasons, but I'd like to be there to really try to bring some new voices to our legislature and to work on getting some fair districts redrawn and ending the gerrymandering in Ohio. I was born and raised in Cincinnati. My mother was a nurse, and my stepfather and my uncles and my grandfather were all police officers. So I've always just sort of saw myself as a person, and my family was as a public service type of background and family person. And so I actually when I was pretty young, I knew that I wanted to become a lawyer. I am a lawyer. I became a lawyer. And during the time when I was after law school, my husband and I actually met my husband and we got married and we decided to start a family pretty early on after we both entered into getting our law degrees and getting going and wanting to practice law. But what I realized really early on with our first son was that he had a pretty significant delay in his development. And through that experience of having my child, and then I ended up having another child with the same disability, it completely changed my path. I didn't end up practicing law. Instead, I do have a law license and I keep it active, but instead I became what I say is a disability rights advocate. And through the years, I've been advocating for families, people who have disabilities, children who have disabilities, or maybe their aging parent who has Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, or people who have mental illness. I've been an advocate for years, and I just decided that I wanted to run for office in the state legislature in particular because I want to impact policy at a statewide level for people who really don't have lobbyists, and for this group of pretty vulnerable people that really are a really large portion of our state. So
Absolutely.
that's where I come from and how I got started and why I got in the race. And I what I always tell people is when I talk to voters here in Ohio, I always say I got in this race because I want to create a disability, mental health, and addiction caucus in our legislature in Columbus. So I actually want to work on these issues and have a work group that actually delves into policy and looks at policy from the lens of disability, mental health, and addiction, and start working on these issues.
I love that. And that is so needed. My family and so many families have personal connection to those issues. So thank you for what you're doing and thank you for lifting those voices up. Along those same lines as we head in here, so we are called Roadmap for Progress. We are a organization that is looking to raise up kind of that next generation of leaders. And I know that your slogan is "Bitter for Better." And
Yeah.
so I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you, as one of our endorsed candidates, what does the Roadmap for Progress mean for you? And specifically, what does "Bitter for Better" mean?
Well, bitter for better means a lot of things, but I will say it means better representation, um, better quality. I will say better integrity in our state house. Um, it just means a better, choosing a better candidate, someone who's going to represent you, someone who's going to fight for you. And it, I want better. I want better for my family. I want better for other people's families. I want better for our state. And I know we can do better. And that's, when I was deciding to run for office, it was one of those things where I could see challenges to threats and challenges to potentially losing healthcare coverage, let's say, um, to seeing cuts in education funding in Ohio, just from the legislative perspective. And we've had a lot of cuts to our public education in Ohio, all kinds of things that are just, I feel like they don't have to happen. We can do much better, and I know we can. And so that's what Bitter for Better means. I think we can do better, and I just had to clearly make a play off of my name because my name really is Sarah Bitter, Bitter. And I was just trying to let voters know that if you want better, vote for me. Vote for this candidate right here because I'll do a better job. I really will, and I'll work really, really hard to do better. And as far as roadmap for progress goes, the thing that really resonates the most with me with roadmap for progress is how you speak to equality. And like I said in what I just said to introduce myself to you, to me equality is a very big there's a big group of people that need to be included in that conversation. And I didn't know this until I had kids with disabilities. I didn't know this until I became a disability rights advocate because I myself I didn't experience it, so I didn't know that it was there. But everybody needs equality, including people with disabilities, right? Including people who have mental illness, maybe with anxiety, depression, people with autism and Down syndrome, people who have Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, veterans coming back from war with post traumatic stress disorder, or police officers who have post traumatic stress disorder. There's just so many people that are left out of the conversations. And I think equality means we have to include all people. And I'll say caregivers, the people who are actually taking care of the family members who are working so hard to care for their loved ones and to advocate for their loved ones. And I truly think that we aren't really considering our people. Government is not doing what it needs to be doing, and our systems have been broken. And I'd like to get in there and to do better. So I think that's how I connected with Roadmap for Progress because I'd like to see better, more progress, right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I did want to bring in a couple of the most timely issues that are kind of touching everyone right now. The first one, of course, being the heartbreaking COVID-19 pandemic. Um, and I think what this hits home for me, and a lot of what you're talking about have themes into healthcare. And it brings home to me just the importance of healthcare, but um, that we need to be prepared. Uh, you know, heaven forbid something like this were to ever happen again, or how long is this current pandemic even going to last? And so I did want to ask you, first of all, in your district, in your own community, how has COVID-19 affected your community? And then also, from a policymaking standpoint, what, uh, what kind of themes does it hit home that have become so much more prevalent and uh, urgent in terms of policymaking?
Sure. Well, I will say that I will point out something that most people don't pay much attention to, and then I'll answer your question. And that is, in Ohio, almost 70% of all the people who have died in Ohio are living in a long-term care facility. So that means a person who's in a nursing home, a person who's in some kind of, let's say, long-term care facility that houses people with developmental disabilities, and so these are people with disabilities. So 70% of the people who have died in Ohio almost have been people who are extremely vulnerable, the same group I've been talking about. And I will say, too, we have a caregiver crisis. There aren't enough direct care workers. So it's not just the people who have disabilities, but it's the people taking care of them. So that's a really important thing. And definitely not getting enough attention. And I'm going to get into the legislature and I'm going to work on that issue. And this is a crisis that's happening right now. These workers did not get the PPE that they needed. They did not get, cleaning supplies. They were not even though they are like frontline workers, they didn't get the needed materials that they needed. And there's not enough transparency, in my opinion. And I want to fight against that. And I want to fight to make things better there. But as far as the rest of Ohio and what's happening in my community, I would say the number one, there are two big issues that are happening. I think it's happening everywhere. And that is schools and returning back to school, right? Education, children going back to school. So parents who need to work and their children are going to go to school, or they're going to stay home for virtual learning, and making that decision and having that conflict of how do I do this? What do I do? What's the right choice? And then thinking of schools and teachers needing to go back to work and to be employed and the risks associated with that. Will the teachers get enough PPE? Will they have the cleaning supplies? What if a teacher gets sick? Will there be a substitute teacher? Will they lose their job? There's so much there at play. And schools really are the hearts of our communities, right? So this is our future. Our children clearly are our future. And everything we do in community should start with making sure our kids are okay, in my opinion, and making sure our children are safe, and helping our families so that they can, survive and do well in this crisis. And that is an area that really, I think, needs a lot of attention. And I think it will continue to need a lot of attention. And schools have been defunded for years in Ohio, for years. So we are going to see everything exposed, all of the weaknesses in the systems and all of the cutbacks that we've had for years. You will see it play out in front of our very eyes, is what I believe will happen. And again, schools are just now starting back up. So this will happen. And then of course the other major area is just businesses and people, and workers and small businesses and companies trying to survive this and to be able to continue to do business and keep their employees and pay their employees, and their employees being safe. I mean, this is just, you know we as all the systems, again, that would be, like unemployment, and we have obviously levels on the federal level, just getting CARES Act passed and getting that money back to the states and to the local governments for the police and fire. So I would say the two biggest issues facing my community in District 27 and the whole state of Ohio would be, clearly, schools and workforce, and making sure that our communities have the money that they need to get all the supplies they need to keep people safe, and keep our economy going and keep it moving it forward. So it's going to be, a really important balancing act. And I think that I would do a good job as a legislator, because first of all, I have a legal background and I understand law and policy. And through the work that I've done in my past, I used to work for the University Centers of Excellence for Developmental Disabilities at Cincinnati Children's Hospital and at University of Cincinnati. And we looked at state, local, and federal policy. And I have experience in understanding how policy impacts systems and how to make systems changes, and then how to advocate for vulnerable groups of people in that environment. And since we're all vulnerable during COVID, I think that I would bring a very good skill set to the legislature. And that's another reason why I'm running. I'm trying to bring some subject matter expertise into the legislature.
which we could use a lot more of. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I also wanted to. So the other big topic which does dovetail right into these equality issues that you talk about, people who are marginalized. Um, this summer has been the Black Lives Matter movement, and
Mhm.
we have a situation where I think people for generations and generations have been experiencing systematic disadvantages in society. Um, and a lot of society is just now waking up to that. And it's just now realizing that. And so, one thing that's really important to Roadmap for Progress is that these things are not just bumper stickers or slogans that we talk about. And we already see now a lot of the marches are starting to die down a little bit. What are we going to do to actually give life to those words and give meaning to these sentiments so that we don't lose that, as is often said, the fierce urgency of now, and that we actually make something substantial happen to assist all of our brothers and sisters of any race who are dealing with these problems every day in their lives.
Absolutely. Well, I will say that I will hopefully become a member of the Ohio Democratic House Caucus, and I will be working with leader Amelia Sykes, who is the House leader in Ohio, who has actually been really pushing very hard to get racism as a public health crisis to be identified in Ohio and to start to begin to look at policy and really understand the roots of what that means, and looking at social determinants of health and making sure that our policies are addressing the major issues that we have in Ohio. And our governor, actually, through her advocacy and the advocacy of many people in Ohio, we're able to get him to begin the process of working on just that. So that's one thing. I hope that I'll get elected and I'll be able to help and be there in that caucus to be able to work on those issues, because you can make, if when you, that's what a legislature is supposed to do, right? Legislatures in the states are actually supposed to look at a problem and see what the issues are, and then to find data and information and resources, and also understand what other states are doing and how to make progress, kind of like your organization. Like, look at things and then look for a roadmap for progress, right? How do you make policy that makes it more equitable and more equal for all people, so everyone can have access to the success of all of the good things we want to have in life, right? Like jobs, and starting with schools, and all the good stuff with education and training, and then jobs, and hopefully someday having good transportation and homes to live in, and travel, and all the good things that we want in life. And so we will work on that, and if I get in that legislature, I'll be there to assist and help and be able to address those issues. And we can do it. We absolutely can. And I know that there's a major drive to get that done. And I will say that as a woman and as a person who cares deeply about making sure that we address these wrongs and these issues that exist, I have a real passion to do that. I mean, I'm running for office because I want to help people, right? I want to stand up for people who absolutely have not been who've been left out, right? And I will say, by the way, that people with disabilities have come from every race and every religion, every socioeconomic background. And when you look at the injustices, like, for example, people who are in jail, there's a very high significant number of people in jail who have a disability, right? Who have a mental illness disability, some kind of substance abuse issue, something like that. And that's why they're in jail. And we can address systematic racism by looking at all of the lenses and understanding all of the aspects to it. And we can do really good work, and we can make policy that helps people a lot if we just get different people in office. I
Yeah.
mean, it's I don't know how else to say it. We just need new leadership. We need people that acknowledge that Black Lives Matter, right? That actually see that this is an issue that has been pervasive for years, and there's a systematic problem with it, and then how to address it. And I will say, just FYI, I actually come from a family of police officers, like I said. So my uncles, my grandfather, my stepfather were all police officers. I was actually raised in a family of police officers. And I can see how to work on these issues. I know I can do the hard work of having these conversations, and I know we can make things better. And I know that that's what the police need too. They need training. They need help to understand how to work with people who have mental illness or who have disabilities. They have to understand to be culturally competent of different races and cultures to be able to understand that. But I will also say that our society has cut so much funding for people who are ill, who have mental illness, who need health care, and the police are set up for failure oftentimes. And so we are doing no service to ourselves or helping ourselves if we say that we only want to defund the police, because the police are actually doing new work that they've never done before, and it's a recipe for disaster. And here we see it, right? So I will say that I'd like to be a person who can find a way to collaborate and fix the real problems and work together and not try to pit people against each other. We have to fix this. We have to do better. We really, really do. And I know we can. So that's my goal.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. For anyone who is just joining us, I did want to just remind you that we are meeting today with Sarah Better, who is a candidate for state representative in Ohio District 27. Wanted to remind you that you can get involved in Sarah's campaign by clicking the link attached to this video. You can contribute right now. And also on September 5th is going to be a day of action where people from all over the country that are affiliated with Roadmap for Progress, or you watching right here, can get involved in Sarah's campaign. And we will have more information as we get closer to that date, but make sure to click on the event on Facebook. All right, so just had a couple other questions and things that I wanted to touch on with you today, Sarah. One of them is about leadership in general. As we think about the lack of leadership coming right from the top, from the White House right now, it is just really disheartening. And a lot of people may feel like, why should I even participate? Why should I even get involved right now? Maybe it seems like I'm not a big fan of either side right now. Maybe I see myself somewhere in the middle. What would you say to people who, feel disillusioned, and yet we know that we have an election coming very quickly here that might inspire them? And what are some of the traits of leadership that you believe are most important for a candidate and an office holder to
Sure. Well, first of all, I will say that your vote counts, and it counts a lot, especially right now, because all of these state legislatures are going to be redistricted in 2021. So please, please vote and go all the way down your ballot. Make sure you vote for your state and your local candidates, especially in your state legislature. It is so important. Those state legislatures redraw the lines in the state, and that impacts the actual state legislature, but the US congressional seats as well. So obviously, the US congressional seats are a check on the executive branch of government, on the president of the United States. So whether honestly, we should all hope that we would have a two-party system that would check each other. We should have checks and balances. It's the healthiest way we can have a democracy, because you need one side checking the other to make sure that they don't do something that they shouldn't do, right? And that's what hasn't happened, unfortunately. We haven't had that, and this is what's gotten out of control on the national level, but it's absolutely gotten out of control in Ohio. And I'm sure that you've heard about what's happened with our House leader, Larry Householder, and the amount of money that was stolen, basically from the Ohio taxpayers through some pretty corrupt endeavors. So please, even if you're feeling upset or disillusioned or not knowing if you really love your candidate 100%, please, please, please do it for our country, do it for our democracy. I would also suggest that you look at the number of people running for office right now, especially women who are fighting against, uh, I don't know, forever, the entire amount of our human history, to get to where we are right now to be able to run for office. Please look at us and understand we are raising issues that no one has ever raised before. I mean, here I am saying I'm a mom. I have two kids with a disability. I'm an attorney. I'm a disability rights advocate. That's what I say to people. That's not a common thing to say. And women are doing this all over the country. Please look at our campaigns and just look at the person, look at the candidate. If you feel like you don't like a party or you're not sure about how you weigh in, look at the person, find a candidate that you care about and that you believe in as a human being, and just help them because they need your help. So that would be my suggestion, to try to hopefully encourage you to stay involved. It's so important. And here's another thing: don't just get involved this year, stay involved. Like, remember your civics, remember, go back to high school and remember all those things and all the reasons why we have our democracy and what it means to the world. It's such a big thing. So stay involved. Keep yourself engaged. It's important. It's not gonna, we're gonna have to be doing this for years to come. And that's what I'm committed to doing. And then as far as leadership goes, I mean, it should go without saying that integrity, telling the truth, honesty, even if you have to say the truth, but it actually might make you less, maybe people don't like to hear what you have to say because it's not necessarily popular to that particular person's point of view, right? I just said to all of you on this call, I do not believe that we should be defunding police. I do not believe that. I believe police have been cut. Their state and local government funds in Ohio have been cut for years. Okay, they have been cut for years in Ohio, and so we have defunded the police, and that was through a Republican legislature that did that. So I don't think that's a good idea. And look where we are right now. People didn't get the training they needed. And the local governments need that money so they can keep people safe and so they can get updated in professional development and training and be culturally competent, right? So integrity, hard work, honesty, I mean, the most basic human things, and also just being humble and saying, if you don't know something, finding the people that do know, find the people that are smarter than you to help you do a good job, as a leader. There's nothing wrong with being humble and collaborative and, working across party lines. And that's what I want to do as a legislator. If I'm a representative in Ohio, I'm going to represent the Democrats in my district, the Republicans in my district, and the independents in my district. I'm going to talk to all of them and I'm going to find out what they need and I'm going to represent their interests. And that's because that's just who I am, and that's the kind of leader that I'll be. And you should expect that in your leaders. And if you don't find that in your leaders, then you need to run for office and be that, right? Step up and do it, because that's what democracy is all about.
There you go. Some people out there
So
just heard their call to action. I love
that's right. If
that.
not, that was my saying, if not me, then who? If not you, then who, right? Who's going to do it? Who will do it? Somebody else will do it and you might not like how they do it. So you have to step up and you just, start wherever you can start and work your way up.
That's awesome. Thank you. The final question that I have for you, we're going to give you an opportunity to real quick kind of give your closing argument. But as you do so, kind of view it through the lens of this broader aspiration of, as we've said, what we want our leaders to be. And in particular, if people are watching this, maybe they live in a different state or a different part of Ohio, but maybe they're not all that fired up about their own leaders or things like that, but they like what you're saying and things like that. Let them know why getting involved in your campaign and why supporting you or giving a contribution today in your race in particular would be so important and would make such a difference.
Sure. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. Um, I will say, um, as a pitch for my own campaign, obviously, I will do good work for all Ohioans. I will use the skill set that I have that I've learned through these last several years, of the last 15 years, in becoming a disability rights advocate. I am an advocate who knows how to fight. I know how to see something that just doesn't make sense, systems that are completely wrong, and fight for people who I know don't have, always have money behind them to get their voices heard, or lobbyists. But I this is what I do. I've been doing this for several years. I understand what it takes to see something from the beginning and take it all the way to the end and get it there and get it done. And I'm very determined and I'm hardworking. I'm running because I care about people, right? I'm not in this for my ego. I'm in this because I care. And so I hope that you will get involved in this, in my race. I am targeted as one of the top, one in seven, one of seven House seats that can be flipped. This county is turning is blue, and we are on the suburbs of this, so we are, coming next. So we are about to flip this to a Democratic county all the way out to the suburbs. So we have an opportunity. We have a really good opportunity. It's the only seat in Hamilton County, for example, that can be flipped from red to blue. It really is the only one. There's one seat right next to mine, that definitely needs to be held and needs to stay. And her name is Jessica Miranda, so I'll pull a plug for her. And then my seat needs to flip. And you can do what you can do to help my campaign. Obviously, you can donate. You're putting my website on here, but just sarabitter.com. All the information is on there. The other things that you can do is you can help us just volunteer. We need people, if you're local, to help us drop literature. We are not doing we are doing door-to-door literature drops, but we are not doing canvassing where we talk with the voter, because we want to make sure we're staying safe and keeping people safe. But also calling, that's a huge help for us. Just calling voters for us, that's how we have to do it. This is how we're running our campaign now, with COVID. Just get involved by helping us make phone calls, doing literature drops, signing up for our website. There's an email, um, mailing list that we send out, which will keep you up to date with what we're doing in our campaign. And following us on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's extremely helpful for us. And we have a lot of momentum. We have a real opportunity here to flip this seat, and it'll make a big impact in our state if we can do that. And like I said, it's the only seat in Hamilton County that has the ability to flip from red to blue. So all hands on deck, and I hope that you'll help us out here. And you can go to sarabitter.com to get any information, to sign up to volunteer, to donate, to find out what our social media handles are as well. So we really appreciate any help you can give us, and spread the word. We only have, what's today, 70, or actually, this was let's see, by the time that we have this conversation, it'll be a little bit later. That's okay.
Yes.
We don't have that much time left. So please, get involved. We will have 2 months left, until election day, and please just help us help us get over the finish line and help us flip this seed.
Absolutely. And we're here to help you do that. So we want to
And we
thank
appreciate
everybody.
it.
Yes. So we want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch today. Sarah, thank you so much for having a conversation with Roadmap for Progress today. For everybody, again, this is Sarah Bitter, running for Ohio House of Representatives, District 27 in the Cincinnati area. Make sure to contribute on the link. She gave you her website. We've got the September 5th Day of Action coming up, so you can RSVP on Facebook for that. So thank you again, Sarah, so much. And everybody, we will see you again next week for another of our Roadmap for Progress town halls. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your endorsement too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your evening, everyone.